All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Forge Your Life podcast. Today with your host, Richard Fu from richardfu.com and The Ultimate Man. And today I'm really excited to be talking to this beautiful woman here because she has such an amazing story and is a real inspiration. You know, when I first started in property, I thought I would be something like her. Right? Honestly, I thought I'd be something like her, just a mogul magnate. And she just is just in such on a beautiful journey that amazes me. And she even sharing some breaking news here on this podcast as well that I'm excited to share with you guys. Her name's Steph Brennan, right? She was the founder of Step Wealth Financial Services, helping property investors really find, just how to actually get into the property market, getting it financed in the right way. She's been featured on huge magazines here in Australia, Australian Property Investor, Smart Property Investor, Sydney Morning Herald, right? One of the leading newspapers here in Sydney in Australia. At 24, guys, she amassed a property portfolio worth over $2 million. That's how good she is, right? That's why I'm sitting here in full envy, in full jealousy of, I wish, how did she do that? And I'm excited to have her in. So guys, please welcome Steph Brennan to the show. Steph, good to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me, Richard.
Steph, it's awesome to have you here and I'm excited to chat with you. And so Steph, for the people who don't know who you are or how you got to where you're at, could you share a bit more about that for us?
Yeah, sure. So I first started investing on my 22nd birthday, so back in 2012. And then I guess I just sort of fell in love with that and kept growing my portfolio and managed to get a lot of media exposure off my own investing story. And then I tried to set up a business and help other people do the same. So it's been a really exciting journey, lots of challenges, but really rewarding at the same time.
Oh, wow. Amazing. And I think Steph's being a little downplaying her awesome successes here. Because I checked you out, Steph, right? I checked you out on your website and stalked you, of course, like we all do, right? And you have this amazing story, right? Like it's not like one day you woke up in 2012 and thought, I'm going to buy a property, right? You started very young. You were always money conscious, and you always kind of knew that you wanted to get into property, wasn't it? And there's this one story I want you to mention. Yeah. Dig in a bit more. It's about that 50-cent story, right? Where you had.
Yeah, sure.
So could you go share more about that? Because I love that story.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess it all started, as you said, with 50 cents, and I was 5 years old, and that's when I received my first 50 cents of pocket money, and that shiny piece of silver really felt like $1 million to me. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I went to the grocery store with my mum to buy a chocolate bar that she said, why don't you use your 50 cents? And I was faced with this huge dilemma being a chocoholic at the time. Nothing's really changed. And I thought, do I spend my 50 cents or do I save it? And it really dawned on me then that if I could make another 50 cents, I wouldn't have to choose. I could have both my $1 million and that oh so tasty chocolate bar. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So it was really that moment that that sort of, I guess in a sense, demanded more of myself because I really had to start thinking about how do I make more? How do I make more money so that I can buy myself more options in life? And that's really where it all started.
Wow. And it's such a powerful question to be asking yourself is like, it's not how come I can't have both? It's more, how can I have both, right? And how can I make that happen? And to have that,
definitely.
It would have been defining for you, right? Like everywhere you would go. And did your parents ever find that annoying at the same time for you? It's like, no, you have to choose one.
Yeah, I think my mum learned a lot through that experience because as soon as I learned about inflation, every time she'd ask me to do chores, I'd negotiate more money.
So inflation as well. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really good. I actually, my mum remembers that I used to have this little box, and it was how I used to budget money. So I'd have all these little clips, and it'd say phone bill, spending money, petrol money, everything like that. Of course, I got more and more clips as the years go older because I had to take on more responsibility. But it was a really good way to, I guess, set the foundation of learning how to budget and make money, and actually finding out where your money goes.
Mm-hmm. Wow, and that's hugely important, especially in property investing, in any type of investing. And talk us through this, Steph. I mean, talk us through, why did you want to go into property, especially in 2012? That's like right after like one of like the boom cycles, I believe, right? In Sydney in
Yeah.
Australia. And like, and this is what we hear right now nowadays, right? And I think this has been going on for like a good 80 years. It's like, oh, young people can't get into the market, it's too expensive and all of these other things. But you bucked that trend, right? You broke in there when everyone else was complaining about how they can't get in. What made it different for you, and how did you actually get into it?
Well, how I got into property was when I started my first business back in 2011, consulting to small and startup businesses. One of my clients was a property investment company, and he had, I think, 40 properties himself, and he was trying to show people how to actually invest. And it was that experience that showed me that there are huge returns with property. There's the capital growth return, there's the rental return, and I just thought, wow, this is really what I want to do with my life. This is what I want to help other people do. And off the back of that, I moved into property management because I wanted to understand, how the management of an investment works. So how to increase things like capital growth, how to find a tenant and keep them, how to find a good area, what makes a property important for a tenant and also for a purchaser. So all of that gave me, I think, the foundation to actually jump into the market. And I was really fortunate to learn a lot about negotiating through the work experiences that I had, and also the experience that I had as a child negotiating with my mum. So I would walk straight into different properties, and I'd immediately see who my competition is and then offer less than the asking price. So I got knocked back on a couple of them, but it was on my 22nd birthday, on the actual day, that I managed to negotiate my way into this property that was about $20,000 under what they wanted, and it was $386,000. So it wasn't a lot at the time, but now you were mentioning about the property cycle. As the market levels off, rental prices tend to increase because you've got that supply versus demand. And then also I was buying in essentially a lower market and able to ride the wave back into the peak cycle. So now I think that property is worth just over $600,000 and achieving a rent return of $530 a week now. So it's been a really, really good investment.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Amazing. And then from there, I mean, you went on to buy more property, and talk us through your strategy, right? Like for most people, they stop at one investment property, maybe two, right? But for you, I mean, like, how did you grow from there and started using that first property to accumulate more? How did that work for you?
Yeah, sure. So the first property, I had saved enough for the deposit and stamp duty, but I actually got my mum to guarantee the property so I could put my funds into an offset account and reduce the repayments. But essentially, they would then lend the full amount. Then what I did on my second property, I put down my $100,000, and the second property I bought was in Colroy, 150 metres from the beach. It was $346,000. So again, I bought really well. And then off the back of that, I've just waited for the markets to move. Bought in 2014, bought in Manly. That property went up exponentially. Bought two off the back of that in Brisbane. Now they had a massive rent return. One of them I bought for $327,000, achieving $460 per week. And then the other one was $329, achieving $500 per week. So bought really, really well. And of course, that increases my income because they're positively geared. And off the back of that, I bought them under market value. So I was able to release some of that equity and purchase again in Canberra. And then the other property that I have that's overseas, I donated my inheritance of $50,000 to conserve a nature reserve in Scotland. So I just have a block of land over there. So that's sort of how I've been able to do it. And of course, you've got to pick at the right time. And also, if you usually sort of stick within 10 to 20 Ks of the CBD, a lot of people want to live in those areas. So as population increases, the prices are driven up. So it makes sense. I mean, it's not a strategy that will work for everyone, but it's certainly something that's worked really well for me.
Amazing. And let's break it down here, right? So the strategy, because for someone who's not into property, they're like, "Whoa, what was that?" And I think it's like you buy the first property and you held on to it, and you held on to it until the equity went up, right? So when your house is worth, say,
Yeah.
you bought for 300, and if it goes up to 350, you now have $50,000 in equity, correct? And then
Yes.
from there, you use that equity to then put it to be the deposit on the next property. Is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing. And that's a simple strategy, guys. And that's why, the first one feels like the hardest, right, Steph? And then after that, it gets easier and easier.
Yeah, definitely. It gets a lot easier, particularly because the property is doing a lot of the work for you. And also banks find it less risk as sort of their business to invest in properties that are investment, because the highest rate of default is usually with first home buyers. So that's sort of a lesson as well to take away, is start small and work up. The other thing is you want to try and de-risk your portfolio. So as much as I've got over to, actually, I think my portfolio's just gone up to about 3 mil. So even though I've got 3 mil in equity, I didn't start with that. I had to sort of build very slowly. And you want to be able to have multiple properties, because then if something goes wrong or you need to sell, then you've got something that you can separate from the rest of your assets and sell and clear some of your debts or whatever it may be. So you're not putting all your eggs in the one basket, and it certainly enables you more options.
Gotcha. And then from there, you went out and you created and you founded Step Wealth, right? And you ran that business.
Yes.
There's some big news happening over there, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So we built the business off the back of the media attention. We had, I think, over 500 inquiries in a day, so we were able to build the business quite quickly. And then we've just sold that now, so that's really exciting. There's been a lot of challenges that have come from that experience, and I've learned a lot, but it's been great because I've been able to understand a little bit more about property, particularly going through and understanding the broking side. So that's been able to help me leverage further in my own investing as well, because you understand which banks sort of favour investors, what their policies are and things like that, and really make the policies work for you rather than against you. So it's been good, but very exciting as well.
Love it. And let's if I can ask a question about that, because I think this is probably one of the few times I got someone in who's actually just like sold their business off, right? Talk us through that process. Of you're running it, and then what triggered you to say actually I don't want to be in this business anymore, right? And talk us through that.
Yeah. There were a few things that contributed to that. The first was, when you face challenges and you're really passionate about something, you can push yourself through those challenges. And something that always remained clear to me is that I really want to build wealth, and I want to help other people to do the same. And something that also contributed to selling the business is I did make some wrong decisions in business. My company actually got embezzled from, and that was a really difficult time to sort of push through that challenge. And I thought, I've already built up this asset, and what I want to be able to do is, rather than focus all my time on running this business and building it, managing staff, everything like that, I want to be able to really get back to the essence of what my why is, why I get up in the morning, why I want to help people. And that's the property side of things, helping them build a property portfolio, understanding the strategy, and helping them get into the market. So what I'm trying to create now, which will take a lot of work in the making, is to actually put together a fund where people can leverage off the equity that I've built and help them to invest in property and make the wise decisions and learn from all the mistakes that I've made and other investors have made to really drive their portfolio forward. So that's sort of why I came to sell the business.
And thank you for the honesty, because it's great to tap into that. And I want to extract a few things here that you said was, if you don't feel that passion, right, then you just when you come up against that wall, it's like you can't break through that wall. It's just like you have to just grind your head against that wall, and then eventually the wall falls apart, right? Or you fall apart, right? And so
yeah, definitely.
and then and I think that's something you said that was so important that a lot of people here who are listening or watching, they need to tap back into is to getting to the why, right? It's like, like, why did you get into the business in the first place? And if you can't even find the right answer for that, right, then it's not going to continue driving you and the business forward. And so, was it scary?
Exactly.
Did you get up, like, I don't know, like sometimes when you sit in that position, you got your business, it's going well, and then it's like, but I didn't get into the business for the right reasons, right? And did you what was that like?
I think when I started the business, I got into it for the right reason, in the sense that I wanted to ensure that no one had to feel as lost as what I did when I first started investing. But I think what I learned is I've learned a lot about business, and now I can understand the business clients that come to me even better than I probably could beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really showed me that you don't have to start a business to make a change. And that's something that I've really learned. And sometimes as well, when you have your own business, yes, it's great to have mentors and they coach you and they share with you their mistakes. But sometimes it's hard to actually reach the next level because you're focusing on how do I better this business, not necessarily how do I better my knowledge, my experience from somebody better than me, where I can spend a huge amount of time with them learning and then take that into the next venture. Mm-hmm. And I think as well, something that I never wanted to do was, I structured the business in a sense where clients didn't have to pay us. And a lot of people are skeptical when they don't have to pay anything. It's sort of like, why are you giving without receiving? Mm-hmm. So that sort of taught me a lot about, I guess, the psychology of clients. And that's part of why I wanted to work in another company, learn what I can, particularly in international markets, mm-hmm. Particularly for my own investing as well, so I can keep sharing more and growing with my client base. And followers and everything like that, and share more of those experiences and show exactly how different markets work. Because at the moment, a lot of my focus is the Australian market, so I can't really sit here and say this is how it's different because I've tried and tested it. So I want to be able to invest overseas, and the company that I'm working with now, one of my colleagues has actually bought and sold across 18 different countries. So that's knowledge that I couldn't gain in my own business. And it's very hard to find mentors that have that level of experience and are actually implementing it as we speak. So it was a hard decision to come to, but I definitely think it was the right decision for the long-term vision. And that's really what you've got to keep thinking about, is the long-term vision.
Love it. And I love that you see that bigger vision of, it's not just Australia you want to be in, right? It's not just Australia that you want to be owning property in and helping. It's actually something bigger. And because not many people, I've never really heard of many people going international, right? I mean, yes, you have like the foreign buyers in Australia, right? From China and America and wherever else, but not many Australians here do you see, like, you got those schemes where you buy in America, right? But I love to understand. And that's why I'm looking forward to seeing what your adventure is, right? In terms of like expanding into the international market and just really seeing like how that works for, not just like New Zealand, because New Zealand is very similar to Australia, but in other places as well.
Yeah.
And so,
definitely.
What made you decide to really go international, right? Like, easily, I mean, most people here in Australia, like, look, Steph, you got property in Australia. Why would you go invest in somewhere else, like somewhere international, right? Just out of curiosity, like, what made you want to go international?
I think it was the fact that I don't just want to be limited to Australia. I mean, yes, I've sort of been coined with the term Australia's youngest property guru, but in order to, I think, keep that level of expertise, I want to be able to, know other markets. And I think that gives you a greater understanding of the market that you're currently investing in. There's also opportunities all around the world. And I also like the fact that it's a tax deduction, so I can keep traveling overseas and have a reason to, if I'm really honest.
Yeah. If you like a country, I haven't been to that country. I want to buy something there now.
Yeah, so I think it'll be a good experience. And plus, the other thing is, there's so many people that feel lost about their investing, and it's not something that's limited to Australia either. And we can see that with particularly a lot of international investors investing in Australia. And I really, my aim was always to help people, and I don't want to be limited to a small scope. I really want to help as many people as possible, and that's part of the reason as well that I sold the business and looking at designing an app that brings investing to people's smartphone that can easily transcend and be related to different markets and different people all around the globe, to really give first-hand knowledge and experience to anyone looking to build wealth. My goal is really to ensure that everyone has the same opportunity to build wealth.
Beautiful, and I love that. And this is why the next question I want to go into here, Steph, we were talking about it off air before, is that you want to do something what I would say is nuts, right? Like most investors would say is nuts. And that's to go and put your name, right, and your properties and your equity and guarantee for someone else's property, right? Like sometimes even causes family issues, right? And what do we mean by guarantee? It's kind of like saying, Steph, I want to buy a house, and Steph says, I'm going to put my name against this. So the bank says, yeah, okay, if Richard doesn't pay, then we're going to get the house, and then we're also going to go after Steph, right? That's what it means to be guarantor. And talk us through this. I mean, how is this going to work for you, right? Like, I know it's still early days, but I'm just intrigued into how you can make it work in the way that, for people that you don't know personally that deeply, right? Like family or something like that you'd be willing to do that. Talk us through that.
So, when all the media attention happened, there was a very strong reoccurring theme, which was the hardest part is to get into the market and buy that first property. And particularly because, with cost of living and everything like that, it's quite difficult to save the deposit. So what I thought I would do is, because I really believe in what I'm doing, I really believe in property investing, and I really believe in helping people. I want to be able to utilize what I've been able to build and secure other people's investments against my equity. So what that would mean is that if I sort of have a hand in talking them through, this is a good investment, it's within 20 k's of the CBD, it's in a growth area, it's got a good rental return, I'm happy to back that investment because I'll put my money where my mouth is, essentially. Because I believe in exactly that this investment is going to pay off. And if someone were to default, then I'd be happy to take over the property because it's something that I would buy myself. And I think that is the difference between people that really believe in what they're doing, is when they'll put their money where their mouth is.
Wow, Steph, you're probably like the first person I've heard that's willing to go this far with it, and it's awesome, right? And now that you explain it that way, this is what you would buy as well, but you want to help someone else, and if they can't actually afford to run it, then you're happy to take it on because this is what you would have bought anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's helping people to make investment decisions that really are stuff that you would buy for yourself. Like, there are so many businesses out there that will just sell your property for the sake of selling a property. And to me, I get approached every day, do you like this property? Would you sell this property? No. If it doesn't, I don't care who's endorsing the property. If it doesn't fit the client's needs, then it doesn't fit the client's needs. It really needs to be a case-by-case basis. And I would be more than happy to secure my equity against something for someone's investment when they're trying to get into the market, they're trying to build wealth. And there's really no or very little help from the government from these sorts of things. We don't get taught in schools how to build wealth. We don't get taught really in unis how to build wealth. So somebody needs to make a stand and actually help people to build wealth and put their money where their mouth is.
Exactly. And I love that. So you're on such a noble cause, and I'm excited to have you on this show. And that's why when you told me this, I was like, what? Right? And that's why I was excited at the same time. And so, Steph, we're going to start.
We'll see if it all comes together. That's the hardest part.
Steph, either that, or you're just going to get an influx of all these properties. You're like, look at this. I'm making how my portfolio just swelled up, and that'd be awesome, right? So, Steph, we got to start wrapping up the show. So as we go into these quick fire questions, right, I want to start off with one of our favorite questions. It's called the time travel moment, right? If you could go back to any time in your life, right, where you could go back and talk to little Steph and you could give her one piece of advice, right, what would you tell little Steph, and when would you go back to?
I would probably go back to one of the hardest moments probably in growing up, and that was sort of back in school where you're finding yourself. There's different challenges that you go through, and I just remind myself that life does get better, and you will push through every challenge that you face. And every challenge will be slightly harder, but you'll get stronger. And it's really about writing your biography. So make it good. Make it a very good read. All the challenges, the ups, the downs, it'll be worthwhile.
Love it, love it. And I love that you say write your own biography. And so I'm sure you've read a lot of books, right, Steph? And so if there is an absolute must read for everyone here, whether it be property investing or whether it be about life, what would that one book be that you would recommend?
The first one that comes to mind that I'd recommend is probably The Art of War, because I think there are often a lot of times when people get caught up on winning the battle and they lose the war. So focus on what's really important and do everything to win the war of life, in a sense, and forgo the little battles.
Wow, man. I really got to read that book now, because I'm like, wow, did not expect that. Like, really? Okay, this is an interesting time.
It's really good.
We'll add that into the show notes as well. And this is another favorite question of mine. This is for the men out there, Steph, right? And so on our show and what we do, we help a lot of men really step up and take it up to the next level for the modern world. Because this is the thing, Steph. I mean, the modern world, we have powerful women. They're winning it. With the whole feminist movement, it's awesome. But I think there's been a huge gap, right? And men have been left behind. And so,
yeah, I agree.
What do you think the modern world needs from a man today? What's the one thing that men can actually start doing more so they can start bridging that gap for the world?
I think share your story and write your own story, because our story really enables us to climb the ladder to the stars, essentially. And I think what men can do is bring back those traditional values. Be the gentleman. Be a gentleman in business. Be a gentleman to women. Be a gentleman really in life. And I think that will help bridge the gap, because yes, everyone's focusing on women supporting women and men supporting women, but it really should be men and women supporting each other.
Gotcha. Amazing. And as we wrap up here, just a few more left. Question here, Steph, we talk about wealth. We've mentioned wealth a lot here. And so, what does it mean to be truly wealthy in your eyes? What does it mean to be truly wealthy?
I think wealth to me is inspiring people, having a life that makes you want to get up every morning and inspire other people. I think also that's the epitome of success, and I think wealth and success really go hand in hand. And to me, I think it's really, if I can inspire just one person to forge their own life, then I'm very wealthy and very successful.
Yeah, beautiful. Love it. And in our last question here, Steph, if we traveled forward in time and, you had 30 seconds left to live, you're surrounded by your family, your friends, all of the investors that you've helped start that wealthy portfolio, that wealth journey, right? And they're just here with you. What would you pass on to them?
Oh, wow. That's a very difficult question. I would probably say that we were not meant to be, and this is actually from a Harvard speech that I heard this morning. We were not meant to be common. We were meant to be comets and break through the confines of tradition. And even craters remind us that something great happened here.
Oh my God, that's beautiful. I love that, Steph. I love it. And Steph, I want to say thank you.
Was that good for my last 30 seconds?
That's why I gave a little bit of space, right? To feel that impact of it, right? Of that comment hitting. exploding with all that energy. And Steph, I want to say thank you so much for spending your time here with us and sharing what you do have with us. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome, Steph. And so if people want to learn more about yourself and what you're doing next, Steph, with your next adventures, where's the best place they can go and get in touch?
So they can jump on my website, stephaniebrennan.com.au, or just Google me, find me on Facebook, Stephanie Brennan, Twitter @InvestWithSteph, or LinkedIn, just Stephanie Brennan.
Awesome. We'll add that into the show notes as well, guys, so you can connect with Steph so she can help you get onto the path for a wealthy life. So thank you once again, Steph. I love it. It's been an amazing show. I'm looking forward to seeing you continue growing.
Thanks, Richard.
All right, guys. And this wraps up another episode of the Forge Your Life podcast. Today with Stephanie Brennan, right? The lady who's going to help you forge your wealth through property. And she's got the biggest heart to put her name and, her whole equity portfolio ready to back you if you want to get there, if you want to get started. So make sure you connect with her. And this is one thing I know, guys. Steph really wants to help people. And for us to help more people, we need to get this message out there. We need to get this out there. And so make sure you head on over to iTunes to rate the show and share it out, because Steph doesn't want to keep this a secret. I definitely do not want to keep this a secret. Right? And of course, remember, you can head to richardfood.com to grab the show notes. And remember to always go out there, go live with love, guys, and go smash it. I'll see you again on the next one.